You already know that you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And you know this, but what are you doing about it? For most people that I interact with and we have this conversation where we are reminded, and I remind them, and we just in conversation, I'm reminded that we become like the people we spend the most time with. It's easy then to realize, yeah, that's true, but what are we doing about it? And very often we're doing nothing about it. We just know it intellectually, but we're not executing on it to the point that we're integrating it into our lives. So my friend, what I want to do in this video right now, and this message with you right now, is to remind you of how powerfully important and vital this concept is for you to thrive in life, for you to become that best version of yourself, for you to achieve your greatest goals, to turn your dreams into reality, and to live a life that helps you to feel filled up, joyful, meaningful in the contributions that you make to the world. And so you and I both know that this is true, but we're not executing. Why is that? Because I think we lose sight of how valuable and vital it actually is. So think about it this way. How often have you looked at somebody that used to be a friend, or maybe kind of is quasi still a friend, or a family member, somebody that you've known in the community for a long time, and all of a sudden they're spending more time with a certain person? And so you've noticed aloud to other people around you, or maybe just to yourself, but you've noticed, hey, they no longer are the same person they were. They actually are starting to become a lot like that person. And oh, by the way, that other person is rubbing off on them. How often have you looked at someone that you know, and you know they're spending a lot of time with somebody, and you said something along the lines of, that other person is rubbing off on them. They're starting to become like that person. We see it every single day. We see it all the time in our lives. I think one thing that comes up for me is my wife and I just spent about a year living in South Carolina, and our son, 3 of us lived in South Carolina. And I got to tell you, I've started to say y'all. First of all, it's a more efficient way instead of saying you all or you guys, but it's something that just happens. It's one of the ways, one of the little phrases that people use. We start to speak like the people we invest our time with. And by the way, this is a critical point to make. I really believe that it will shift everything in your mind when instead of thinking about spending your time with people, you think about it as investing your time with people. Because when you feel like you're investing time with people, it carries a bigger weight, carries a greater importance. It carries this sense of, I got to do something about this. I can't just leave this out there. It's got to be dealt with. Think about it with your money. When you spend your money on something, how important is that money now for you? It's not important because it's gone. It's replaced with an experience or a thing, which is great, but you spend it and it's gone. But when you invest your money in something, how often do you pay attention to it? Probably way too often, or maybe not often enough, depending on who you are. But you have this sense that you've invested money into something, and now you want to see it pay fruits of the labors of the investment over time. That's the goal. You want to see your money become greater in value over time because you made this investment. Now, instead of just thinking about this with your money, what if you started thinking about this with your time, with your energy, with the people that you collaborate with and interact with and build relationship with? What if you now decided, I'm going to figure out how I'm investing my time and my energy with other people? Because if now all of a sudden you're thinking about your time and your energy with other people as an investment, as something that can pay off over the long term, or as something that can lose value over the long term, now you've completely shifted the way that you see relationships. Now listen, I'm not here to, please don't misunderstand me. I'm not here to tell you that I think your relationships are purely about getting a payoff in the future. I truly believe there's fulfillment and there's meaning in the relationships you have today, even if you don't think there's an actual monetary value down the road. The simple example of money was simply to position it as an investment as opposed to an expenditure of your time and energy with other people. So now if you're starting to think about the time and the energy that you invest with other people, how do you want to be investing that time and energy? Do you want to be investing that time and energy with people that help you to feel uplifted and inspired and encouraged and to have more positive energy and to have hope for a bigger, better, brighter future? Or do you want to invest your time and energy with someone that's going to bring you down and reduce your energy and suck the life out of you? Because that time and that energy, that is your life force. That life force is what you use to be a great parent, a great spouse, a great partner, significant other, a great salesperson, a great entrepreneur, a great leader in your community. Whatever it is that you do, whoever it is that you serve, that life force needs to be vibrant and alive and constantly growing so that you can become the next best version of yourself. But if you are stuck today, having your energy just completely sucked out of you by certain relationships, then how can you be in the best position to thrive in your life? Because until you thrive in your life, you cannot help other people to thrive in their life. I don't care how hard you work. If you are not thriving in your life, if you are grinding yourself to the bone and not being filled up and fueled up constantly, if in fact you're being drawn down, your energy is being drawn down and depleted by certain relationships, then how can you become the greatest version of yourself? How can you turn your big, bold dreams into reality? You won't, or at least not as quickly and as powerfully as you could. And so think about it this way. Think about the 5 people that you invest most of your time with on a consistent, regular basis. Now think about these people on a scale from -10 to +10. Again, this is not about valuing them or judging them as a human being, as a life that has value in the world. It is simply about, how does the relationship make you feel? How does the relationship elevate you or not? Or maybe it does the opposite. This is an exercise that I put in my book, Attract Your Potential. It's available on your local Amazon store. I'd love for you to check it out. Link is in the description, so you can definitely go check that out to see if it's something that would be of value for you. But this is one of those core concepts that I talk about. If you want to truly attract more of the right people into your life and become the best version of yourself, you got to take stock of who's in your life today. You got to evaluate who's in your life today and what those relationships are like. Again, this is not about judging them as a human soul. I believe every soul has incredible value. I don't think any soul or any human is better than another. But for you, some people might be more toxic than others. Some people might be more uplifting and inspiring than others. And you got to get real with yourself. You got to get real with your relationships and be honest. Tell yourself the truth. Are these people uplifting you and helping you to move forward towards becoming the best version of yourself? Or are they holding you back? Or are they dragging you down? Or are they neutral? And listen, if someone's neutral, or if on the scale from -10 to +10, they're like a 4 or a 5 or a 6 or even a 7, I'm not telling you to absolutely just eliminate these people from your life. I'm just saying you got to take stock and get real with yourself so you know that you're in a position to make a decision on how much time you actually invest with these people, or how much time you start to no longer invest with these people, whether they're family, they're friends, they're people in your community, they're people you've known for a long time. Listen, that's probably the biggest excuse that any of us can have. Well, I've known so-and-so forever. I've known them my whole life. That doesn't mean they're the right relationship for you, and it doesn't mean you're the right relationship for them at this time in your life. My wife listened to a podcast years ago and shared something in that podcast that really struck me. It struck me because I love to hold on to the past relationships that I've had, friendships that I've had over the years, and I'm a very nostalgic person. I love to think about all the good times from the past, but the truth is, every relationship that I've had in my past was meant to be a part of my life for a season, and that's not a bad thing. We all need those people in our life that played a role at a season in our life when they were really important for us and when we were really important for them. When together we created this mutually and communally beneficial value by being in relationship with them for a period of life, whether it was you knew them growing up in elementary school or middle school, or I'm getting choked up talking about this, or high school, or the college years, or right out of college, or in your first career. Listen, we all have those relationships from our life that we just do not have the capacity as humans as we evolve and grow and start families. If that's something that you do, I don't know about you, but for me, starting a family and having 2 little kids has definitely eliminated a lot of time that I would have otherwise had for certain relationships. And that's okay, because I'm in a certain season of my life. I'm in a season of my life now where my family gets the vast majority, outside of my working time, they get the vast majority of my time, energy, efforts, and attention. And that's the season of life that I'm in. And if you're in that season of life, or you're in another season of life, I think it's okay for us, going back to the podcast my wife listens to, it's okay to realize that some friends, in fact, probably the majority of the people that we know in our life, besides the really close people in our life, they're probably not going to be really close people for our entire lives. We have seasons of life where certain friends are meant to be there for us and we're meant to be there for them, and the friendship makes sense and it's valuable for both people, for both parties. But at some point, it might not always be the case, and I think we need to be okay with that. And we need to stop dwelling on the fact that maybe someone was a friend for a long time and they're no longer as close to us. It's okay. People change. People evolve. Listen, if you haven't changed and evolved, if they haven't changed and evolved, something's not going right in your life. Because I believe to become the best version of ourselves, to find our next level, to really thrive in life, we constantly need to be making progress towards that next best version of ourselves, which means change. You can't go to your next level without changing. You cannot go to your next level without becoming a new kind of person. Becoming a new person requires transformation and change. And so at some point, you might be at the same place with that particular friend that you've known for a decade or 4 years or whatever the time frame. And you start to change and they start to change. And so you start to go in different directions because you're changing. And that's not a bad thing. You just happen to be pursuing different paths at different stages of your life. And so embrace that. Embrace the fact that you're not always going to be connected to the same people over time. And sometimes we need to just let those relationships go. And we need to be appreciative and thankful for the time and the energy and the value that that friendship had for a period of life. And now we need to move on to finding and creating new friendships and relationships that are more important for where we are today. For us, for them, for the community, for the people that you can serve in your life with your gifts and your talents. And you got to become okay with that. Because if you try to hang on to relationships just because they were relationships you've had for a long time, to me, that's not the right reason to keep a friendship going. And in fact, you might give a gift to that person if you're thinking about no longer contributing as much or investing as much time and energy into that friendship. They might need to separate from the friendship just as much as you do, but they're having the same mental block. They're saying, gosh, I've been friends with this person forever. How can we go our own separate ways? How can we stop investing as much time and energy into that friendship? But maybe they need new friends, just like you do. And so I think we have to acknowledge that it's not just about us. It's not about us giving up that friendship. Maybe it's about us releasing that friend into a new level, to their next stage of life, to their next season of life. And if we can not only accept that, but embrace it, man, you can open up new possibilities. Because tying this back to the beginning of this message, we become like the people we spend the most time with. So as you start to evaluate those connections and friendships and relationships in your life on a scale from -10 to +10, start to evaluate where people are. And now you can decide, what do you want to do? Do you want to invest more time with this person because they're a +10 and they elevate you, they bring you up, they help you to make progress, and you likewise can help them? Are they a -10 and they're like, get out of here, I don't need you anymore in my life, bringing me down with your toxic ways and your toxic words and your toxic language and the toxicity of your energy? I don't need that. Or are they somewhere like in a 4 or 5 and you're like, look, I talk to this person every day and maybe, oh, just maybe, I just need to talk to them once a week or once a month or just text them every couple of weeks to check in, but we don't need to have full conversations. There are all kinds of paths you can move down once you have this information. But listen, my biggest message to you is get clear on who the people are in your life. And by the way, I wrote this book, Attract Your Potential, because I absolutely believe that we can move forward faster to create even greater value in the world and achieve our biggest goals quicker by having more of the right people in our life. And by the way, I also wrote the book because I know for certain that having the right people in our life is great, but also feeding our minds with the right information is just as important. You might not have an hour-long conversation with one of your top 5 friends or connections every day, but every day you could listen for an hour to a podcast. You can listen to a message like this. You can read a book for 20 minutes. You can listen to an audiobook. You can listen to the news, which I don't recommend. There are all kinds of voices and messages we can fill our heads with. And another Jim Rohn quote that I absolutely love is stand guard at the door of your mind, because if you just refuse to let in garbage, if you refuse to let in negativity, if you refuse to let in pessimism into your head, then you can stay strong in the face of obstacles and in the face of challenges in your life, because it's challenges in life that allow us to grow stronger if we embrace it with a positive attitude and a mindset that says, I can learn, I can grow, I can become more in the face of this challenge. I can become refined through this struggle. I can be better because of this discipline in my life. But if you don't stand guard at the door of your mind and you let the negativity and the pessimism and lack of hope and lack of faith in your head, and you listen to the garbage that some of these news media outlets are promulgating just to get you afraid so that you pay attention to them, if you listen to that on too regular of a basis, you'll be brought down. You won't have the energy and the fuel and the excitement and the aliveness that you truly need and that you deserve, quite frankly, so that you can thrive in your life. So my friend, what I really want to encourage you to do, what I'd implore you to consider, is evaluating who you invest your time with, getting really serious about making this a priority in your life, to get around, to surround yourself with more of the right people, to become the best version of yourself so you can attract more of the right people into your life, just like I talk about in my book, Attract Your Potential. Would love to encourage you to go grab a copy of that book if you have not yet. It's at your local Amazon store. I truly believe it can encourage and inspire you with reminders, things you know about, but are the fundamentals that if you revisit them and you actually execute on them, can absolutely start to help you change and transform your life in a very positive way so that you can move forward to become the best version of yourself, maximize your life in a way that adds even more value into the world and helps other people feel uplifted and inspired and encouraged along their journey. So my friend, whatever you're going after, whatever big dreams you want to turn into reality, I just want to encourage you, keep going, persist, never quit. You can make it happen. I believe in you. Let me know in the comments below, what are you working towards right now? What is holding you back? And how did this message resonate with you? And what questions do you have? I'd love to grab your questions and answer them in an upcoming message, whether you're listening to the podcast or watching on YouTube. I want to answer your questions, so please drop them in the comments. I will get to them. I will answer them. I will make a video about them. And I'd love to keep you encouraged and inspired. So if you're staying encouraged and inspired, subscribe, come back for more. Let me know what's working for you. Let me know what's not working. And would love to stay connected with you right here, wherever you're paying attention. My friend, just keep going.